Right, gonna do a Mythic Dragons voiceover for tomorrow's raid, and should hopefully make things a lot easier for us, as on Sunday we kinda just went in blind, didn't really discuss what we were going to do, but now we've seen the fight, and myself and officers have had a quick chat, and hopefully when we make some alterations for the next few attempts, should make things a bit easier for us. So first off, just gonna rewind this to pull the boss, because I need to talk about something at the start. So at the start of the fight, I have tried with the left and right side, with starting for my positions for myself, and you would think that starting on the right would make things a lot easier, but in actuality it can make things worse, or not even make things better at all. And it's mainly because of what I'm highlighting right now, the volatile infection. If you go inside with the volatile infection, it just makes things a lot harder. For the first one, it's not as bad because you've got hero, you've got your second potion, I'm using power infusion, so it's not as taxing. But for the second and third, when you're going in with a debuff, like something you cannot remove, which volatile infection works exactly like that, you cannot remove it. It can be a massive pain in the ass and something you don't want to deal with. But it can be countered by basically just pushing the boss quicker, or just standing near the portal constantly and just not healing or DPSing at the start. So we go inside, and this is the inside group, which I'll talk over now. So when we switched to Lexi with Imaginary, it did make things a little bit harder, but as long as no one takes the red debuff, and we push the boss at the right time and go with CDs, it's no problem really. Obviously having more damage makes it a lot easier, but if you went with an actual full 5-man group and not 4, then it would make things a lot easier as well. But given that we needed extra DPS outside, this is a sacrifice we had to make, and I think we only ever had DPS issues when either Helixia or Fluky weren't able to get inside straight away, which was only like once or twice, once each, and it was easy to see that we could have easily done it with all the DPS alive, or all the DPS inside. So we did speak as well, myself and the officers, about what we're going to do on the next few attempts, and we're probably going to send either Chanel or Clotilda inside so I can raid lead for the raid who aren't in the realm, which seemed to be a bit of a problem on Sunday, which I can't really understand why, but I'm not really going to go into that with much detail. So the inside group is just simple really, it's just heal your group and DPS. Avoid red swirlies and interrupt, which the interrupts were never really a problem. A couple of DPS were standing in the pools, like it was never consistent, they were just like you see right now, Fluky's got a debuff, and it can make the difference of just wiping the raid if you can't kill it in time. Now when we come out, this is where the problems always arise. So I come out and we've already got most of the right group almost dying, and I can't really stay over there because I'll overstack my debuffs. So Blink is dying, still dying, and dead. And this was a recurring theme. Every time I came out the zone, the right group would be dead. Not dead, well, dying would be the correct word. Either one person would be dead, or all 10 of you would be at, what you can see now, like 40%, and a few of you are, obviously Santrox is on the left side. You also won't want to do this Alexia as well. When you watch this, you'll want to stay on your side and not overstack your debuffs. I mean, you can come on outside, just keep an eye on your debuffs, but really, it's, as you can see now, like obviously we've got 3 stacks, and you've got stacks, and your Sandra's coming over. I mean, like, as you can see now, like, once the bosses have changed and the groups are back, things stabilize, we obviously have a lot of people stacking there, but Master Spell makes it very easy, and then obviously people get put to sleep. But this was before we moved the bosses, so right now we've got them in the corner. And I think this is where we just tried to get the inside group. I think Alexi's asleep at this point. So this is the point I was making earlier, where going inside with debuffs can be very taxing, and going inside with low HP can be very taxing. So as you can see, I've got the only cooldowns I've got is barrier, and I have a potion and infusions coming up, and Nico dies because I just can't keep him up. Like with CDs, it's not that much of an issue, but going in with debuffs and no CDs makes it very hard to top any DPS. So there isn't really a lot to talk about in regards to tactics because I wasn't outside, but it seemed to be a recurring theme of people just dying from damage. That I couldn't really see a lot of individual fails in logs, which usually makes things a lot easier for me, like when I need to adjust things, but it just seemed like people were dying just to damage, which has never really been a problem for us in regards to healing. It's usually just people dying from sheer mistakes, but now it's lack of healing in general, which we shouldn't really have, especially not with the amount of gear we have as well. And given that we've just killed Ursoc, which is a massive healing intensive fight, and this is just passive. It's a passive aura which deals the same amount of damage. I mean, we had one pull at 30%, which is as hard as the fight is ever going to get. Once we do that last portal at 30%, we have a full 20-man raid again, which makes things a lot easier. But it seems like everything falls apart once we get to the 60% mark, which I'm not really sure what happens around that percentage, because nothing big happens. Like if we rewind it a bit and have a look at the 60% mark, so let's pause it here. We have, obviously this happens where everyone's stacked, but that's not a wipe. We master spell, everyone gets unrooted. It's completely fine. There comes the master spell, everyone gets unrooted. Now obviously the one thing that happens is Michael gets put to sleep, Zappa gets put to sleep, which isn't really a wipe. The dragons don't do really hit that hard. Obviously they did not like, they don't just slap you around, they do a bit of damage, but it's not a wipe if a tank gets put to sleep. It makes the fight a bit harder. But let's just rewind a tiny bit. So as you can see, there's nothing really going on. It's not like there's heavy raid damage. All we're getting is Shadow Burst, which is dispellable. I have no idea what Nightmare Blast is, and the next mark is just that, the debuff, which means swap. Then of course we've got the fog, but there's no damage coming in at all. We've still got, look at all these cooldowns that we have available, and none of them are utilised really. I mean, it doesn't, I don't need to sit there and tell you how to heal. I mean, surely each of you know how to use cooldowns and how to use defensives. Everyone should be able to do this without me having to sit there and hold your hand. Which is why I was very disappointed on Sunday when people were saying they needed me to raid lead outside, which, if you break this fight down, it's just heroic. This fight is just heroic with extra damage. The aura itself shouldn't make the fight any more difficult, because all you're doing is standing further away. So the only thing really is that the tanks have to go a further distance to swap the bosses, which shouldn't really make things difficult at all. I mean, most of our tanks do have ham ability anyway, but it does seem like for most of the pulls, DPS were just trying to cheese and stand in too close, which we managed to sort towards the end, but even then we were wiping at 60%. So when we made the fight easier, the same things were still happening, which I can't really understand where the issues are coming from. It's like I said, at 60%, well, we were wiping between 55 and 60% when the group goes inside, but even then, there's nothing going on. There's no big mechanics coming in. The dragons are just doing their usual heroic abilities. So in turn, there's not really I can say to help any of you other than stress the importance of it's just heroic. You should treat this fight as heroic and just do what you usually do. Like the main difference is you just can't cheese DPS, which, like I said at the start of the Dragon's attempts yesterday, the only person that was really cheesing DPS was me on heroic because I'm a Shadow Priest and it's a council fight. Nobody else was really cheesing DPS into regards that I was doing, where I was, doubling up on the stacks. So for the forums, I'm gonna put this video up. I'm gonna link a proper player video, a fat boss video, and a point of view video from any guild I find. Now, obviously, if you don't watch the videos, that's on you, but you won't be raiding on Wednesday. I can assure that. So yeah, sort your shit out, guys and girls, and let's kill some bosses.